So we'll just do a little bit of head to heart to hand, and then we gotta.
Oh, no, what you are.
Oh, you know head to heart to hand.
I'm done.
You'll be fine with it. And what you are is pretty. It's kind of grooving.
Yeah, Clay just said it's.
A mighty river is flowing. Head to heart to hand. Oh, well, what am I singing?
What you are.
What you are. There is no planet in the sun. It kind of grooves. It's the yeah, that'll work. And head to heart to hand. Well, head to heart to hand. That's this one. Yeah, play it. It'll be good. Because we got to start.
Hi. Hello. Good morning. So, welcome to Centers of Spiritual Living, Leesburg. I am one of your practitioners, Nam Shakti. And our theme this year for 2020 Spiritual Vision is Honor the Divine Feminine in All, Women's Month. This is my favorite month. Yeah, right? Right now, we create our sacred space and set our intentions of deepening into our awareness the practice of these 5 pillars by creating this altar and lighting the candles. In honor of International Day of Women and in celebration of the Divine Feminine, our pillars are represented by Woman Today. The first pillar is study, and is represented by the divine quality of light and the color yellow in the work of Emma Curtis Hopkins, known as a teacher of teachers in New Thought. Her teaching reminds us to use the power of our mind in creating our reality. The next pillar is prayer, and is represented by the divine quality of power. The healing color green in the symbol of Kuan Yin. Kuan Yin is considered the bodhisattva of compassion who listened in response to the cries of all beings. She is omnipresent, for in the lands of the universe, there is no place where it does not manifest herself. And her wondrous compassion everywhere pours spiritual rain like nectar, everywhere while squelching the flames of distress. So beautiful. The blue candle represents the pillar of meditation and divine quality of peace. And our symbol is Tara. The Tibet name is Tara. Tara means both star and tear. Mahayana Buddhists worship the Divine Mother as Tara, who is said to have been born out of one of the tears of Buddha of compassion that fell to the earth. She offers liberation and illumination in our everyday life. And the 4 pillars circulation and the divine quality of life, represented by the red candle. And the symbol for us is Lakshmi, the Hindu goddess of prosperity, life, and fertility. We know that the great law of circulation works in our lives. As we give, so shall we receive. And the white candle represents the 5th pillar of service and the divine quality of love, represented by Mother Mary. Representing the nurturing mother energy, this candle is lit as a call to be a service to our world, seen through the eyes of love. Let us close our eyes now. As we bless this space in our time together, as we weave each of these pillars of spiritual living into our service today, may they deepen our spiritual practice of study, prayer, meditation, circulation, and service, expanding our minds and heart to the divine 5 qualities of light, power, peace, life, and love. We also bless everyone who made our service possible today, everyone in attendance with special gratitude to ARC of Loudon for a beautiful space and for everyone watching us live. May the energy of love that is generated here bless them abundantly. And so it is. And while we are in this space of blessings, it's our time to share a prayer or a celebration. Good. And I want prayers for my Kundalini Yoga family. We're grieving a lot because of the allegations of Jogi Bhajan, and we are hurting, so praise for all of us. Yes. It's done. Wow. Okay, so let's just close our eyes and take a deep breath and acknowledging that life force, the gift that we have as the breath. As we know that there is only one God, one divine source, one divine life, one divine power, one divine presence, which is God, which is all around us. It's in the earth, in the sky, in the sun, in the trees. It's in every single atom, tissue, muscle of my being. As I know that this presence of the I am that I am is in me, I also know this presence to be in everyone sitting in this room and everyone watching us. As I know that every prayer that was spoken out loud and not spoken out loud, it is divine, it is whole, it is perfect, it is healthy, prosperous. The infinite flow abundance is happening right now. Wholeness, perfect health. I know this to be the only truth. As I know this to be the only truth, I am in a state of gratitude. I am grateful, grateful, grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. As I let my prayer go into the law, knowing that even before I spoke, it was done. It is so, I surrender. And I let it be, and so it is. Amen, amen. Ashe, ashe. Satnam, namaste, namaha.
All is well. All is well. Good morning. I would ask that you join me on the chorus on this tune. All is well. changing my mind. Perfect peace, joy, and happiness is yours and it's mine. I am loved and so are you. And don't it feel good to know that all is well and unfolding as it should? Let me hear you sing, all is well, all is well. Even Spirit is directing me right now. All is well, all is well, all is well, and unfolding as it should. I am cloaked in the Spirit, I am led by the divine. I am one with all that is, my soul is free from time. I am blessed and so are you. And don't it feel good to know that all is well and unfolding as it should? Let me hear you sing, all is well, all is well. Even Spirit is directing me right now. All is well, all is well, all is well, and unfolding as it should. Sing it again. All is well, all is well. Even Spirit is directing me right now. All is well, all is well, all is well, and unfolding as it should. All is well and unfolding as it should. Thank you.
What have you done? Instead of talking about inequality, instead of blaming everyone, have you done anything to cut down on it honestly? Where one person can make a difference, will you stand up for what's right for the system? Or when faced with a stranger in that situation, mind your business. Tell me, would you ever take a stand? Mind your words. Avoid saying watch and push because you know women's worth. Tell me, do you understand your power? The power of tongue and action. Understand there's a circular chain for every action, there is a reaction. Tell me if you know that. 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 Tell me if you know.
What's going on with equality today? People everywhere fighting bias and hate. So whether you're from the UK or America, whether you're from the Middle East or Africa, it's time to stand up and say,
Many coming as one. Unity. Though individuals, we know change is a must. Balance for the better. From morning to dusk. A human fight, we gotta stop seeing it as a female one. If you don't stand up, then who will? If not now, then when? Might be hard to swallow this pill. The rise of women that equates to the fall of men. Tell me if you know that. 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 Tell me if you know.
do you know your effect when your words go unchecked? Because what you say matters. Why you laugh matters. Who you blame matters. When we know that, we will be free.
That is a video from the International Women's Day website, and the theme is each is equal, and the sign is equal sign. So that's a sign for today, for Women's History, International Women's Day. So good morning. So I did want to tell you a little bit about International Women's Day because today is actually it. Sometimes it's always March 8th, so we don't always have it on a Sunday. So it's a special day. It's actually been around since the first gathering was in 1911. And it's not a day that is around a country or a group or organization, but it belongs to all groups, collectively, everywhere. And Gloria Steinem, the world-renowned feminist, journalist, and activist, once explained that the story of women's struggle for equality belongs to no single feminist, nor to any one organization, but to the collective efforts of all who care about human rights. And so this is a day to lift up and honor women and our contributions in the world. It celebrates social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women. And it's a day that marks a call for action for accelerating gender parity. And I like this theme for the year. In 2020, the theme is Each for Equal. And it's not just for today, it's for the whole year of 2020. And an equal, this is what they say on their website, an equal world is an enabled world. Individually, we're all responsible for our own thoughts and actions all day, every day. We know that, right? We can actively choose to challenge stereotypes, to fight bias, to broaden our perspectives, to improve situations, and to celebrate women's achievements. So collectively, each one of us can help create a gender equal world. And equality is not a women's issue. Right? It's everyone's issue, and it can be a business issue. Gender equality is essential for economics and for communities to thrive. Gender equal world can be healthier, wealthier, more harmonious, and so what's not to celebrate? What's not great about that? And so the race is on for gender equality in the boardroom, in the government, and media coverage, in the workplace, in sports coverage, and in health and welfare. And I like this part the best on the 2020 campaign theme. They say draw from a notion of collective individualism. So we are all parts of the whole. Sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it? Our individual actions, conversations, behaviors, and mindsets can have an impact on our larger society. So individually, we're all part of it, and collectively, we can make change happen. Collectively, we can each help to create a gender equal world. And so we celebrate International Women's Day, and of course this whole month, in our theme for this whole month is about honoring the sacred divine, honoring the feminine divine. And so we started last week kind of talking a little bit about what it means, the divine feminine, and I talked a little bit about the Eastern influence, the feminine influence from the Eastern images of goddesses. And so we're going to continue that, but today I'm going to talk a little bit more about the Western influences. And so, our philosophy and our teaching has always been inclusive of the feminine. And I think I've told that story before, right? That when the very first time I walked into a center and I saw a woman minister, and I didn't know women at that time, I didn't know women could be ministers. I was just like, oh, there's a woman up there, and so I saw myself, and that's the power of being able to see ourselves out in the world in places of leadership and in power. We see ourselves there, then that gives us the thought that that means us, that means me too. And so in our movement, we've always had women leaders. We've always, we were one of the first denominations to ordain women in North America. So we have a powerful legacy and a powerful lineage. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, talked about that masculine and feminine. He said, spirit is the father, mother, God, because it's the principle of unity back of all things. The masculine and the feminine principles both come from the one. And so I want to talk a little bit about some of the Western influences. And again, when I started my training, I didn't really realize that there were powerful women in spiritual traditions or in religious organizations. And so I had a teacher who taught mysticism, and he taught Eastern and Western mysticism, but he talked a lot about the Western Catholic mystics. And there are some very powerful women mystics that come up through the Christian Catholic tradition. And so, Shar, can you change my slide there? So the first one that I'm going to talk a little bit about is Teresa of Avila, and she lived between 1515 and 1582. She was a Spanish noblewoman who felt the call to the monastic life, and she was a great writer, an author, a musician. She wrote songs. She helped transform the Carmelite orders for both men and women. And she had one of her most famous books is called The Interior Castle, and it's about the mystical path. It's about how we move into our own interior castle, to connect with our own mystical understanding of who we are. And so she was very influential in the mystical teachings. The second one is Hildegard of Bingen. And Hildegard of Bingen was actually earlier, from 1098 to 1169, almost 1,000 years ago. She was a physician, a philosopher, a naturalist, a composer, a poet, an author, a linguist, and she had a vision about the divine feminine. And she had this vision of this young woman, and this is what she says about this vision. She said, "I heard a voice speaking to me. The young woman whom you see is love. She has her tent in eternity. It was love which was the source of this creation in the beginning, when God said, 'Let it be,' and it was. As though in the blinking of an eye, the whole creation was formed through love. The young woman is radiant in such a clear, lightning-like brilliance of countenance that you can't fully look at her. She holds the sun and moon in her right hand and embraces them tenderly. The whole of creation calls this maiden lady, for it was from her that all creation proceeds, since love was the first. She made everything. Love was an eternity and brought forth in the beginning of all holiness, all creatures, without any admixture of evil. Adam and Eve as well were produced by love from the pure nature of the earth." And along with Teresa of Avila, she was only the fourth woman to be declared the doctor of the church. And joining Catherine of Siena and Teresa of Lisieux. And so Matthew Fox says this about Hildegard of Bingen. He said, "Hildegard recognized that when women come into their own, there will be an end to the power over dynamics that have blighted the planet. Instead of the reigning powers of patriarchy, only the integration of the healthy sacred masculine and a resurrected divine feminine can save us from our destruction." So this is Hildegard of Bingen was talking about this almost 1,000 years ago, and her vision of the divine creator was love, came to her in the form of a woman. And so she was very instrumental in bringing forth, carrying forth this idea of the divine feminine, and how powerful it is, and how cosmic it was, and how encompassing it was and is today. And so then Juliana Norwich, the next one, Juliana Norwich, she actually said, "As truly as God is our Father, so truly God is our mother." And no theologian in the West has more thoroughly developed this rich theme of motherhood of God than Julian of Norwich. And she says this, that truly God is our mother. And for her, the recovery of God as mother is also the recovery of the divine wisdom, a theme which also encompasses the idea of cosmic consciousness. So the divine mother is cosmic consciousness, is wisdom. She said, "For the deep wisdom of the Trinity in our mother, in her we are all enclosed." We're all connected, all enclosed. So she connects divine motherhood with panentheism, which is that God is in all things, in an explicit way, once again when she says that God is our true mother, in whom we are endlessly carried and out of whom we will never come. And she actually wrote the earliest surviving book in English language, which was written by a woman, called Reflections of Divine Love. And so this was she lived from 1342 to 1416. So again, you see this deep, rich history that has gotten suppressed in many ways, but it was there. And I think the women that were speaking out in this way, and how brave it was, and how clearly mystical it was, because they didn't have any real other people giving this information to them. So that mystical understanding is that divine download. And so then I love this next picture. This is Sophia. It's by Mary Plaster. You can't really, it's a little dark, but this is the feminine face of God that is known as Sophia. And in the Hebrew tradition, the feminine face is known as Shekinah, which again is wisdom. And Sophia is wisdom in the Christian writings. So the experience that wisdom is feminine is ancient and transcultural. So again, sometimes, when we talk about what feminine is and what masculine is, sometimes that wisdom isn't part of it. It's more the nurturing, compassionate, loving energy. But there is a divine wisdom that flows through this expression of the divine. And so she is a universal perspective, a cosmic sense. You can see she's holding the earth in her hands, and she's the source of all treasure in the universe. So this is, this again is this wider picture of the divine in creation itself. And so I want to share with you our own living legacy in the next slide, which is Emma Curtis Hopkins, which we talk about here in her book, High Mysticism. So Emma Curtis Hopkins was a very powerful mystical teacher within our organization. She actually was called the teacher of teachers because she actually taught all the founders of all the New Thought philosophies. And New Thought is kind of the umbrella for our organization. So our Centers for Spiritual Living and Unity and Divine Science and other organizations are all part of that. And she actually taught all the teachers that came to found their own New Thought religion. And so she was a theologian, a teacher, a writer, a feminist, a mystic, a prophet. She ordained hundreds of women. She actually started a seminary to train women ministers. And she lived between 1849 to 1925. So her last student was Ernest Holmes, the founder of our philosophy, in 1925. I think he just barely got in at the end to be taught by her. But she had the idea of the divine feminine early on, and she talked about the Trinity, and the Trinity being God as the Father, God as the Son, and God as as Holy Spirit, the Holy Comforter. She saw that was the feminine aspect, and so she kind of had this idea. She was a visionary in many ways. She said that humankind was supposed to live through 3 spiritual ages corresponding to this Trinity. So God the Father represented the patriarchies of the past, God the Son represented Jesus, and the freeing of human thought. That's where a lot of our teachings come from, the teachings of Jesus, of the miracle that comes through the changing of our thinking and changing of our thought. And then she said the present age is this feminine Holy Spirit, which places women in leadership. So she saw this evolution between the patriarchy moving through the healing ages to this more integral aspect of the feminine and the masculine through this expression through us, this evolutionary process. So she taught Melinda Kramer and Nona Brooks and Fanny Brooks, who were the founders of Divine Science, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, the founders of Unity, Emily Cady, who wrote pretty much the textbook for Unity, Lessons in Truth, and then of course Ernest Holmes as well. And so that's kind of our. Today is not today's kind of a history lesson, right? I mean, it's kind of like the part of honoring the feminine in the same way we did with Black History Month. It's about expanding our understanding, expanding our knowledge, seeing the feminine show up in these powerful, amazing, beautiful ways, and to know that as we expand our idea about the feminine, then we help transform that out in the world. We help create it in a new way. And so one of my colleagues, Reverend Harriet Hawkins, shares a story about one of her teachers. He was when she was in ministerial school, his name was Robert Elwood, and he was the religions professor when she was in ministerial school. And she said one day the students asked him, out of the Eastern religions, what Eastern religions influenced the West the most? And they were kind of thinking it would be Buddhism or Hinduism. And he actually said Taoism. Taoism had the most impact on American culture. And they were kind of surprised by that. And so he shared this analogy. He said, masculine energy comes in through the front door and announces itself. Just comes in, announces itself, you know what it is. And that's how Hinduism and Buddhism came into our country. So something to be learned. We know this about the masculine energy is focus. It's about learning. And so it comes right in the front door. He said feminine energy, on the other hand, comes in through the back door and fills up every nook and cranny of the house. And oftentimes we don't even know it's there. He said Taoism has come into this country through the martial arts. So it's come through Tai Chi and Qigong and Reiki, even though it was Japanese, the founder was a Chinese Taoist master. And so anybody who's had any kind of martial arts or learned anything, and remember last week the symbol, a Tao, is actually a feminine symbol. So I like this idea that the feminine energy is a more fluid, flowing energy, whereas the masculine is more guided and more directed. And so David Data, he's a teacher in sexuality, and he talks about masculine spirituality tends to be focused, not all over the place, as feminine energy can be, and puts a high premium on being kind of even keel, knowing the facts, whereas the feminine energy, again, is more fluid, more emotional, more passionate. And how powerful it is that we have both of those, especially like right now, thinking about what's going on in our world, especially with what's happening with the coronavirus. And of course, there's this need for us to have facts and get information and know what we're supposed to do and what we're not supposed to do. But that can only go so far in our lives, right? There has to be also a fluidity, a honoring of the emotions, as I talked about last week, being able to not push them away, but just acknowledge them and to feel into that wisdom that comes from the intuition of how it is that we can serve ourselves, and how that feminine energy, and we know that feminine and masculine energy is both in men and women, but we know that women show up in it, and sometimes in more traditional roles. And so don't we know that when there's crisis going on, if you're a mother, you know that life has to go on, right? There has to be a way to be able to flow with life and to get kids where they're supposed to go and help, and move it and kind of be in a fluid state. And that's a very powerful thing with regard to how we survive. We survive in the world. And so I like the symbolism of the sun and the moon. The sun is often depicted as being masculine. It's very constant. It's the same. It's just being itself. It's just up there, out there, being itself. And the moon has this feminine energy, which, so every month the moon changes, right? There's these ebbs and flows. It changes shapes and colors and it waxes and wanes. And so there's these two aspects, right? This constant, even keel energy, this masculine energy, and this feminine energy, which is the cycle of life, which is the movement of life, which is moving through and honoring all different aspects of our expressions of life, and that it's everywhere present. And so the feminine, the divine feminine, isn't coming back. It isn't something that hasn't been around. It's been around. It's there all the time. It's been talked about and studied, but it's just kind of pervasive. We're not even aware how much we're affected by it. And what's happening now is that it's coming forward in a powerful way, that we're beginning to stand true for what it is that's important to us. We're beginning to tell our stories and change the way we're treated and we're looked upon. And we still have a long way to go, as we know. We still have a long way to go. But as we continue to move forward in our own understanding of the divine feminine within us and around us, we can honor it and realize that part of that energy is not necessarily having all the answers. Part of that energy is being okay with the changes and the shifts and the not knowing, and that there can be compassion and love in that process as we move through life. And it's about connecting to the physical body. Sri Ramakrishna was a Hindu mystic, and he's kind of credited for bringing Hinduism to the West. And he was kind of a really playful guy, and he was kind of a nut in some ways. And he said that he honored that. He got his inspiration from the divine feminine. And he said that most religious traditions are trying to get you out of your body. You know, you're trying to ascend. You're trying to get out of this world. And he said what the divine feminine does is it brings you into your body, and it brings you into this earth, and it's fun, and it's playful, and it's light. And that we can't be that, you know, focused energy all the time. There has to be some fun and some light and some joy in our life, and that's what the divine feminine brings into it. And our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, studied more of this mystical feminine energy as he, the very beginning it was all the masculine, it was all about the mind, all change your thinking, change your life. And as he grew and as he changed, he began to read some of these Eastern philosophies, and he began to kind of soften into to a more mystical understanding. And he wrote this epic poem in 1960. He died in 1960, so it was right at the end of his life. It was called The Voice Celestial. And there's one part of it that talks about this feminine energy. It's so beautiful. And I just want you to close your eyes and just listen to this as we move into our time of meditation. This is from The Voice Celestial. It's Dr. Ernest Holmes about this divine wisdom. So he said, I stood upon the shore of the larger life. I heard its swelling tide. I felt its lapping waves upon my feet. Uninvited, the unknown became the known. The invisible was seen. A voice spoke and I heard it. Beyond all reasoned thought, it spoke a language that feeling and only feeling can interpret. But real, oh so real, elusive, fluid, but substance of all substance, illumination came. So just take in that idea, that thought of this feeling of this divine presence, that this illumination of the glory and the power and the presence that moves through each of us in this divine feminine principle. You might just place your hand over your heart and just feel into the emotion of the love, that vision of love that Hildegard of Bingen had, that is the divine presence. Where in your life have you experienced that feminine energy, that loving presence? How has it shown up to you in your life? And if you can, you might name a quality of the divine feminine that you choose to expand into your own heart right now. And as you feel into this quality, allow it to move through your whole being, and then just like a drop of water into a still pond, just drop that quality into this room as it ripples out from your very center out into this room. And imagine the people behind you, in front of you, next to you, being touched by this divine feminine quality. And if you were having a challenge connecting or touching into the divine feminine, just allow yourself in a safe way to just open up to the qualities that are in this room right now. I'm sure that's love and compassion and peace and joy, wisdom. And just feel this ripple out into this room. And just imagine as we take our mind's eye above this room, out on this beautiful campus, blessing this campus with the divine feminine. And let us expand to the state of Virginia and beyond, West Virginia and Maryland and the district. Just bringing out that divine feminine quality. And let us spend a moment on our capital, the places where our leadership is, making the decisions, knowing that those who are in charge of the safety of our country and ultimately the world are working to keep us safe and to contain any virus or anything that might be might be of concern. And just know that that divine energy moves through them as well, and that there is a blanket of calm and peace that moves over our country, that there is wholeness and health, that this divine mother energy is nurturing and loving us as we move through this challenging time. And let us just expand through the whole earth and just allow our energy to envelop this beautiful earth like Sophia, that picture of Sophia holding the globe, holding the earth in our loving, mothering, nurturing, compassionate arms. And let us just expand this energy out into the universe beyond what we can even comprehend, that there is only one divine energy, infinite. And as that expands our awareness, we just bring ourselves back into this room, breathing ourselves back through our hearts and down to our feet, grounding us in the ultimate Mother Earth, Gaia, knowing that whatever nurturing and compassion and love that we need, we can just bring it up from that powerful Gaia energy. And you notice that that's that law of circulation, that we hold Mother Earth in our arms, and yet we receive the good from her energy within us. I'm so grateful for this understanding and this awareness and this time together in collective practice to claim the truth for ourselves, to recognize and know that divine feminine energy moves through us in the most powerful way. I know that each of us is blessed by this time together in our prayer, and this time together in affirming and knowing the truth for ourselves as we go about our week, as we listen to the news, as we do the work that we need to do. There is a beautiful, calming energy that moves through us, knowing the truth of who we are. So this is a truth I know for all of us, and it's with grateful ease that I release this word into that infinite law, knowing that it is already done. And together we just simply say, and so it is. So we let it be. And we have another song. Sorry,
One heart, one mind, one love. Well, the storm on the ocean is the rain downtown. The sun shines somewhere when the night comes down. The moon's still dancing when the skies turn blue. And the love I'm feeling is the love in you. One heart, one mind, one love is with us all the time. One life, one light, one spirit in the world tonight. You know the clouds weigh heavy in the summer air. The wind shakes autumn till the trees are bare. The snow in December fills the warm blue sea. And the love you're feeling is the love in me. One heart, one mind, one love is with us all the time. One life, one light, one spirit in the world tonight. Find a way, make our peace, accept on faith things we cannot see, and carry on, see this through. One for all, all for me and you. Now the song I'm I'm singing goes a long way back. It's love's own engine running down this track. The light in the tunnel is coming into view. Says the hope I'm feeling is the hope in you. One heart, one mind, one love is with us all the time. One life, one light, one spirit in the world tonight. One heart, one mind, one love is in this all the time. One life, one light, one spirit in the world tonight.
Right, so this is our vision statement, if you choose to say it out loud with us. To awaken our inherent oneness with divine source, our planet, and each other, and then act knowing that oneness matters. So it is. So it's our time of our sharing of our gifts. If you have a gift to share today, we're happy to receive it, and we're grateful for those who donate online through text or through their automatic giving. We're so blessed by that. And so whatever it is that you might be sharing today, just place that over your heart. Just feel into that generous law of circulation that moves into and through you. And as we say this affirmation, divine source blesses all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I give thanks that this is so, and so it is. So we have our song of gratitude.
A mighty river is flowing, bringing life to the land. Abundance flows as I fully extend from head to heart to hands. Through me, Spirit move through me. From head to heart to hands. Spirit move through me. From head to heart to hands. From head to heart to hands. I share from the bounty because I understand. Where blessings flow when I simply let it roll. From head to heart to hands. Through me, Spirit move through me. From head to heart to hands. Through me, Spirit move through me. From head to heart to hands. From head to heart to hands. Through me, Spirit move through me. From head to heart to hands. Through me, Spirit move through me. From head to heart to hands. From head to heart to hands. From head to heart to hands. From head to heart to hands.
All right, so some announcements. So I'm starting a new online class. It's called The Power of Your Word. It is a second level class, so if you've taken our Foundations or our Beyond Limits class, you can take that. It's starting in April. And you can go online because I'm teaching it through our larger organization. The registration is through them. So come see me if you want to know more information about how to sign up for that. And let's see, what else do we have? Today is our lunch bunch, our monthly gathering. We go to Wegmans and join us there for lunch today after service. And that is all of our announcements, and this is our time of our pearls. Our pearls are time for people to share what you might be taking away with you, and if you're a visitor and you'd like to introduce yourself, you can, but we're grateful that you're here, and no pressure to speak if you don't want to. So any pearls today? What are we going home with today? Elaine. Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks, Elaine.
I love learning about some of the female mystics.
There's a lot of them. You have to. There's much more than we thought.
Was Hildegard the one who didn't speak? She was a mystic.
She was an
abbess. But she didn't speak about it or write about it until she was at the end of her life. Was that her? One of them.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, she was an abbess, so it was so she was, in solitude a lot.
Right.
So, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah. Any other thoughts for today before we head out?
I thought it was interesting that Emma Curtis Hopkins said she totally nurtured all of those babies that went out and spread the word. And I also think about now the ministers like yourself and your buddies. As I saw you at conference, I'm wondering 100 years from now, are we going to say, and Sunday and her friends went out? And I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a legacy. Yeah, moving forward, we have quite a few. I mean, majority of our ministers are ministers is like 55%. We still have quite a few men. Men can be ministers, but you can't. All right, so let's stand and sing our closing song.
So we've sung this before. It's a little wild and crazy one, but very easy.
So we're going to sing through the verses, and then you can pick which verse you want to do, and we'll switch it up. There is no planet, sun, or star that could
Thank you. All right, so let's just place our hand over your heart and close your eyes and just say out loud, I am love. Open your eyes, look around, say, you are love. Hands up in the air, it's all love. Please join us for some coffee and tea and have a great week. All right, thank you for showing. Thanks for watching.
I have an idea.